British intelligence once decided to weaponize cats. Yes, regular house cats. And if you think that sounds like a terrible idea, trust me, it was so much worse than you can possibly imagine. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most bizarre chapters in espionage history. In the mid-20th century, Britain decided to create a unique intelligence tool, cats as targeting agents. This sounds like a joke. It sounds like something from a satirical movie. But this was a real project with real funding, real scientists, and real cats who had absolutely no idea they'd been drafted into military service. And before you click away thinking this can't be real, stick around. Because the story of Operation Acoustic Kitty and Britain's feline espionage program is so ridiculous, so perfectly absurd, that you need to hear how spectacularly it failed. Let's set the stage. It's the Cold War. That lovely period when the world's superpowers were competing to see who could come up with the most creative ways to spy on each other. Both sides were throwing everything at the wall to see what stuck. The Americans were experimenting with radio equipment hidden in fake trees. The Soviets were using microphones embedded in GIFs. Everyone was trying to bug embassies, tap phone lines, and intercept communications. The espionage game had become an arms race of innovation. And here's the thing about the Cold War spy game. No idea was too crazy to at least consider. Seriously, during this era, intelligence agencies experimented with trained pigeons carrying cameras, insects with tiny microphones, remote-controlled dogs. Even psychics try to read minds at a distance. So when someone in a meeting at British intelligence said, "What if we use cats?" nobody immediately laughed them out of the room. In that context, cats actually seemed plausible, which tells you everything you need to know about how wild Cold War espionage had become. Now, let's be fair to the people who proposed this. On paper, using cats for espionage isn't completely insane. Let me walk you through their logic because it actually makes sense until it doesn't. First, cats are quiet. They move silently. They're naturally stealthy. A cat can walk into a room and most people barely notice. Try doing that as a human spy. You're going to stand out. Second, cats are everywhere. They're in cities, in neighborhoods, near important buildings. A cat wandering around doesn't raise suspicion. Nobody calls security when they see a cat. Nobody thinks that cat is definitely working for MI6. Third, cats can access places humans can't. They slip through fences, climb walls, enter buildings through small openings. They have natural infiltration abilities that would make any spy jealous. Fourth, cats are small enough to carry lightweight surveillance equipment without being too burdened. In theory, you could attach a tiny microphone or transmitter to a cat, and it could get close to targets that a human agent never could. And finally, unlike trained agents, cats don't need to be paid, they don't defect to the other side, and they can't reveal classified information if captured. A cat isn't going to crack under interrogation. So when you list it all out like that, you can see why someone thought this might work. The British intelligence community looked at this list of advantages and thought, we should absolutely try this. They forgot one crucial detail. Cats don't care. That's it. That's the entire problem summed up in 3 words. See, all those advantages only matter if you can control the cat. And here's what British intelligence apparently didn't consider. Cats don't listen to anyone. Not their owners, not scientists, and certainly not government intelligence agencies. You could train a dog. Dogs want to please you. Dogs have been bred for thousands of years to follow human commands. A dog will run into danger to help you. A dog will work for praise and treats and the sheer joy of making you happy. A cat will stare at you with absolute contempt while knocking your water glass off the table. Anyone who has ever owned a cat knows this. Cats operate on their own schedule, according to their own priorities, with complete disregard for your plans. Cats have a behavioral spectrum that ranges from "I'll tolerate your presence" to "I'm going to destroy this thing you love because I felt like it." And British intelligence looked at these animals, these notoriously independent, unpredictable, stubborn animals, and said, let's build our espionage program around them. Now, I need to tell you about Operation Acoustic Kitty, because this is where things get really detailed and really weird. While the British were experimenting with their cat projects, the CIA in America launched their own feline espionage program in the 1960s. And because this is the CIA we're talking about, they didn't just try to train cats, they decided to surgically modify them. The CIA's Acoustic Kitty program involved implanting a microphone in a cat's ear canal, a radio transmitter at the base of its skull, and a wire antenna woven into its fur. The surgery took several hours. They essentially turned a cat into a walking listening device. The idea was simple. Train the cat to walk near Soviet agents and diplomats, record their conversations, and transmit the audio back to CIA handlers. The cat would be the perfect covert operative because who suspects a cat? The CIA spent about 5 years and reportedly around $20 million on this program. $20 million to turn cats into spies. And here's where it gets even better. They had to solve the problem of the cat getting distracted. Because when you put a spy cat out in the field and it sees a bird or smells food or decides it's nap time, your entire operation falls apart. So the CIA tried to train the cats to focus. They used behavioral conditioning. They tried to teach the cats to move toward specific radio signals. They attempted to make the cats interested in approaching human targets. After years of preparation, it was time for field testing. This is the moment intelligence agencies dream about, when all that research and planning finally gets put into action. The CIA's first major test of Acoustic Kitty was elegantly simple. They wanted the cat to approach 2 men sitting on a park bench and record their conversation. They released the cat near the park. The cat had been surgically modified, trained for years, and represented millions of dollars in investment. This was the moment to prove the concept worked. The cat walked out into the street and was immediately hit by a taxi. The operation lasted less than 1 minute. The cat died. The project was effectively over. Now, different sources debate the exact details of how this test ended. Some say it was a taxi, some say the cat just wandered off, but the official CIA documents that were declassified confirmed that the first proper field test was a remarkable failure. The British programs had similar results, though perhaps less dramatically fatal. During their tests, cats would start walking toward targets, then get distracted by literally anything else. Cats would sit down in the middle of operations to groom themselves. Cats would hear a loud noise and immediately flee the area. Cats would become interested in food and completely ignore their mission. Cats would simply walk back home because they decided they were done. One documented case described a cat that was released for a training exercise and immediately turned around and walked back to the facility. Not because it was scared, not because something went wrong, just because the cat decided that's what it wanted to do. The handlers tried to redirect it. The cat ignored them. They tried using signals the cat had been trained to respond to. The cat did not care. The cat had made its decision, and that decision was, I'm going home. But intelligence agencies don't give up easily. They'd invested too much time and money to just quit after the initial failures. So they kept trying to refine the approach. They experimented with different training methods. Classical conditioning, operant conditioning, using food rewards, using audio cues. They tried everything behavioral psychology had to offer. They tested different types of equipment to see if the cats were uncomfortable. Maybe lighter microphones, different attachment methods. Perhaps the cats were reacting badly to the surgical implants. They tried selecting different cats. Maybe some cats were more trainable than others. Maybe if they found the right personality type, the right temperament, they could make it work. They even considered whether certain breeds would be better suited for espionage work. Were some cats naturally more curious, more obedient, more focused? The answer to all of this was, it didn't matter. Because at the end of the day, a cat is a cat. You can train a cat to sit. You can train a cat to use a litter box. You can even train a cat to do tricks if you're patient enough. But you cannot train a cat to be a reliable field operative in an unpredictable environment with multiple distractions. Cats have priorities: eating, sleeping, playing with things that move, grooming, investigating things that interest them, asserting their territory, sitting in boxes, knocking things off surfaces. Nowhere on that list is completing espionage missions for the British government. Let me paint you a picture of what these operations actually looked like based on documented reports and declassified information. Scenario 1. A cat is supposed to approach a suspected Soviet agent in a public square. The cat is released. It walks 3 meters, sees a pigeon, and spends the next 20 minutes trying to hunt it. The Soviet agent leaves. Mission failed. Scenario 2. A cat is equipped with surveillance equipment and directed toward a building. The cat reaches the building, finds a sunny spot on the pavement, lies down, and falls asleep. It naps for 2 hours. Mission failed. Scenario 3. A cat is trained to respond to a specific audio signal that should guide it toward target. The cat is released, hears the signal, walks in the correct direction for approximately 30 seconds, then gets distracted by something rustling in a bush. The cat investigates the bush instead. Mission failed. Scenario 4. A cat is prepared for an operation. As handlers are doing final checks, the cat simply walks away. Not running, not scared, just casually strolling off because it has decided it's not interested. Mission failed before it began. Scenario 5. A cat is released for an operation. Everything seems to be going well. The cat is moving in the right direction, approaching the target area. Then there's a loud noise, maybe a car backfiring, maybe construction work. The cat panics and sprints away at full speed, disappearing into an urban environment. The cat is now missing. Not only has the mission failed, but the expensive equipment attached to the cat is lost too. These weren't occasional problems. This was the standard result. The exceptional cases were when the cat did anything resembling what it was supposed to do, even for a brief moment. Now, imagine being the scientists and intelligence officers working on these projects. You've dedicated months or years of your career to this. You've written proposals, defended budgets, conducted research, performed surgeries, done training sessions. You're a serious professional in the intelligence community. You probably have an advanced degree. You've been trusted with classified operations. And your job is to make cats cooperate with espionage missions. Every day, you come into work and try to convince a cat to care about national security. Every day, the cat demonstrates that it absolutely does not care about national security. Your colleagues in other departments are running successful operations, gathering valuable intelligence, making real contributions to their country's security. And you're in a room watching a cat lick its own, but instead of approaching the surveillance target. The psychological toll this must have taken cannot be overstated. Imagine writing a report that says, "Operation unsuccessful. Subject became distracted by own tail." Imagine having to explain to your superiors why millions in funding have produced exactly zero useful intelligence. And the reason is that cats prefer napping to espionage. Imagine the meetings where they discussed whether they should keep trying. Someone in that room had to stand up and say, maybe cats just aren't cut out for this. And someone else probably responded, no, we just need to adjust the training protocol. Meanwhile, in the background, a cat is probably knocking equipment off a table. Eventually, reality had to be acknowledged. After years of effort, extensive funding, and repeated failures, intelligence agencies reached a conclusion. The CIA's official statement about Acoustic Kitty from declassified documents noted that while the surgical implantation was successful and the equipment technically worked, the project was abandoned because training cats to behave reliably in the field was impossible. The British programs reached similar conclusions, though with slightly more diplomatic language. Their assessment was that cats proved to be an unsuitable platform for intelligence operations. Let me translate that for you. We tried to get cats to work for us, and we lost. The cats won. Cats. 1. British intelligence. 0. This wasn't just admitting failure. This was admitting that they had fundamentally misunderstood the very nature of cats. They had assumed that with enough training, conditioning, and technology, they could make cats into reliable operatives. What they discovered was that cats are fundamentally incompatible with taking orders. Cats are biologically, psychologically, and temperamentally opposed to the concept of following someone else's plan. Cats are tiny anarchists wrapped in fur. The final reports essentially concluded, dogs are trainable, pigeons can be conditioned, even some insects can be controlled. But cats? cats are in a category of their own, a category labeled absolutely not happening. So what do we learn from the great cat espionage experiments? First, just because something sounds theoretically possible doesn't mean it's practically achievable. On paper, using cats for surveillance makes sense. In reality, it's a disaster. Second, sometimes the most obvious problem really is the biggest problem. Everyone knows cats don't follow instructions. But somehow, brilliant minds and intelligence agencies thought they could overcome this with training and technology. They couldn't. Third, in the espionage world, creativity is valuable. But so is knowing when an idea isn't working. These programs continued far longer than they probably should have, sustained by sunk cost fallacy and institutional momentum. And fourth, this story is a perfect reminder that even serious institutions with important missions can make absolutely ridiculous decisions. The same agencies that successfully ran complex spy operations, that helped win the Cold War, that gathered intelligence that shaped world events. These same agencies spent years and millions of dollars trying to turn cats into spies. It's humbling, in a way. It shows that intelligence and expertise don't make you immune to bad ideas. Sometimes smart people convince themselves that they can solve unsolvable problems. Sometimes the solution is just to admit that cats are going to cat, and no amount of training will change that. So there you have it. The time Britain and America tried to weaponize cats and failed spectacularly. The time intelligence agencies went to war with feline nature and lost. The cats involved in these programs are long gone now, but their legacy remains as one of the strangest, most absurd, most perfectly failed operations in the history of espionage. Britain wanted to arm cats with surveillance equipment and turn them into intelligence assets. Instead, the cats armed Britain with a valuable lesson. Some creatures simply cannot be controlled, no matter how clever you think you are. The final score? Cats won. They won by doing exactly what cats do best, ignoring everything humans wanted them to do and following their own agenda instead. And honestly, that's the most cat thing ever. If you enjoyed this deep dive into historical absurdity, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of spectacular failures and bizarre historical moments. Drop a comment below with the worst cat behavior you've ever witnessed. I guarantee it's not as expensive as these intelligence operations, but I want to hear about it anyway. Thanks for watching, and remember, if your cat won't listen to you, at least you're in good company. Even MI6 couldn't make it happen. See you in the next one.